Hey everybody, you listen to the Katana Podcast with me, Invisible Katana, and today I want to talk about just all sorts of random nerd stuff. The first thing I really want to start this off with is Lootcrate, because this month I was able to get my very first Lootcrate. I did a whole unboxing video for that. I'll add a link in the description below. And, Lootcrate is a really cool experience. Like, it was something. Fortunately, the first box I got, I really enjoyed, and I've watched a couple of other unboxing videos from like last year and stuff like that, and it's really cool. It's a cool little subscription-based service for anyone who doesn't know, and basically you can subscribe for 1 month, 3 months, or 6 months, and however long you do it for, every single month around the 20th or so, you'll just get a box from Loot Crate. It'll just be a black box that says Loot Crate. They come in different sizes. Most likely it'll be like a small sort of rectangle type of shape, but sometimes it can be a bigger box if they have certain special figures in them, and you just get all sorts of random nerdy items, and it's really cool, and I really loved it. And I heard about it last year, like in the middle of last year, I believe. And I watched an unboxing video for like the December Loot Crate from last year, and I didn't realize that they had exclusive items. I always thought it was just, random stuff. And technically, I'm sure you could easily buy all this stuff if you really looked around, and of course, you can get a lot of the stuff off of eBay if you want to. But it's actually really cool because you kind of go through and you pay this subscription service, and technically, it'll be much cheaper to do it that way than it would be to get most of the exclusive items, because even if there are a ton of them on eBay, for the most part, they do tend to cost more than the box itself costs you if you already have the subscription. So it's still kind of worth it. It balances itself out. Like, if you do end up getting items that you don't really want, you can still, put them up on eBay, try to kind of make your money back, and it'll, be a bit more worth it compared to just buying one item that you want off eBay, or, having to find every item individually, which will cost you much, much more than the month by month payment issue. So, getting my first loot box was definitely really cool. I got some items I definitely wanted, and I'm really excited for the rest of this year, and just the stuff that they're going to be doing. Some of the boxes, it's a surprise. Basically, the only thing you know about is the theme for that month, so you can kind of guess based on the theme. You can probably guess what popular characters or movies or games or something like that will probably be within the box itself, but it's definitely really cool, and all the boxes themselves fold inside out, and they're all like artistic on the inside. Like the one that came out for January, the theme was Rewind, and the box itself, when you folded it inside out, was a Nintendo, so that was pretty cool. And it's just a really interesting little service. There are other ones out there too. I heard of one called Nerd Block, but it's just a really cool little thing, and you get all sorts of cool little exclusive. You get comic books and the t-shirts and the figures and things like that, and it's really fun. And the reason I'm talking about that, and the reason I wanted to do this podcast this way, or this episode, is because it made me think about all the random nerdy stuff I've seen. Some stuff I've been able to get. Some stuff has just been like way too expensive for me to, ever possibly get. But I wanted to kind of throw out some random things, and this is kind of, well, I can't say it's similar to the other, I believe it was my last podcast, where I did like my top 5 kind of nerdy items that I really want to get. It'll just be some other things that I've seen over the years, like giant, movie replica figures and things like that, Comic-Con exclusive type stuff that, probably has made its way from Comic-Con to other little conventions and things like that, and it looks really cool, and I wish I could afford it, of course, but it's just way too expensive and things like that. And something else with Loot Crate is their Mega Crate, and every month, one subscriber is just randomly picked. You get an email if you're the winner for that month, and you get this Mega Crate full of all sorts of cool stuff. And that's the only thing. If you get an email for the Mega Crate, then you know exactly what you're going to get for that month, because that's in the book every year, and they also put that on their website and stuff, or like their Google Plus page and their Twitter and all that stuff before it actually gets delivered. So you know what's going to be in the Mega Crate if you happen to look at it. But that's really cool too. And the one for this year, or I'm sorry, for this month, was definitely insane, because it came with this really, really big Voltron figure. Like in the regular Loot Crate, the Voltron was, the exclusive Voltron item, I guess, was a t-shirt. And I love the t-shirt, so that's what really had me excited. I was like, I'm glad that the first shirt I got was something that I'll actually enjoy, so that was really cool. But in the Mega Crate, they had this giant figure, and honestly, the only thing I could really compare it to is like the really old Power Rangers. I think Power Rangers Zeo or something like that. They had it where you could actually make the Megazord. It's kind of like that, where all the pieces themselves, you can play with them individually, but you can combine them together and actually make Voltron. And that's really cool. At least I assume the figures come apart. I actually don't know that for sure, so I could easily be wrong there. But it definitely looks cool. It's like, it looked metallic based on the picture. It was like metallic and shiny and just unbelievably well detailed. It looked really, really sweet. And that, I think that was like the nerdiest thing in there. Other than that, it came with like an actual laptop that was worth like $300, and it came with a DSLR camera, like a T5i, like a Canon T5i. And that was crazy to me. I was like, man, that's like some real serious stuff, especially the camera. The camera was oddly more than the laptop that they would have given you. But it's still a cool laptop. Like, you get a free laptop, even if it's like a lower end laptop. It's still a brand new laptop that you can do extra stuff on or whatever you want to do. And then you get this amazingly great DSLR camera. That's really cool too. But you know, the Mega Crate, I would love to win that at some point, especially if it happened to be around the month where they celebrate Back to the Future. That would, without a doubt, be like the best thing ever, to win like the Mega Crate and it had like a giant DeLorean figure or something crazy like that. But Loot Crate is definitely a great experience, a great way to experience new nerdy random things. And one of the excuse me, one of the coolest things is some of the exclusive figures, and I don't know if they do this every single month, but this month they had like these little Nintendo figures. They're called Tendo figures. And I got a Doctor Who figure, and there were like, I think 6 other figures that you could have gotten. And that's kind of cool. So you never really know. Like, it's not always you got a box and then somebody got the exact same thing. Technically, you can get an item and it'll be different from what someone else got. So there'll be like a collection. Like in this case, it was like 6 different things. So you have like a 1 in 6 chance, or 1 in 7 chance to get one of these little things. And then there's a bunch of others out there, and that's actually kind of cool. In some cases, it kind of sucks depending on if you don't like the thing. Like, personally, I'm not a big Doctor Who fan, so I was like, it's cool, but I didn't really like it that much. Especially when I found out that there were other figures. I thought it was just the Doctor Who thing, because Doctor Who is super old, but it was just one of the figures. And because I love Back to the Future so much, when I saw that there were 2 based on Back to the Future, I was like, that really sucks. I ended up with like Doctor Who. Like, I still would have loved those, one of those more than anything, but I ended up with the one that I found the least entertaining, to be completely honest, because the other one was like Mars Attacks, which I thought was actually pretty cool. It looked really sweet too. Like, you could see all the cool little 8-bit details in the alien's brain. And I can't remember what the other one was, but that happens sometimes. You're not gonna be guaranteed to like everything, but it's kind of cool. And in that case, I was like, well, I have this exclusive figure that personally I don't want, so I put that up on eBay. So that's on eBay right now, actually. And I'm kind of selling that along with some of the other little things that I didn't really want. And that's just a cool thing. Like, you can have these little exclusive items. Sometimes you get something you really love. Sometimes you might get something that's not ultimately there, like a Doctor Who thing. Like I said, not really big on Doctor Who, so it didn't really appeal to me that much, but it's still really cool. Like, when I first saw it, it was like, even if it's Doctor Who, it still looks awesome. Plus, it was at the same time a reference to Dr. Mario, because that's why it was on there. And it was just really, it was still really cool, even if I didn't like Doctor Who. I was about to say Dr. Mario. But even if I don't like Doctor Who, it was still cool when I first, took it out and I put the little arms and feet on it. It came with like a little Nintendo zapper gun and stuff, and that was really sweet. And I had fun with that. It was still cool, even if it's not like, oh wow, it's Doctor Who. It's still like this exclusive little figure that I never would have experienced, like, at all. Like, I never would have known those things even existed, and that's kind of cool. Like, just knowing that those are out there now, and that if I want one in the future, I could, most likely just head onto eBay and find one. It's really cool, and I actually enjoy that. You get kind of, you get more experience in the nerdy world, really, from all these little exclusive figures. And it's like, well, I didn't know that this existed, or, maybe this company in general, because another company that I found out from this month is this thing called Black Tie Geek, and I got a tie, and it's inspired by Space Invaders. And it looks really cool. Like, it's, you can tell it's inspired by Space Invaders. That's the point of that specific tie. But, I never would have known that website existed, because I would never, ever look up like, oh, let me look up nerdy ties. Like I've seen nerdy cufflinks a ton of times before. I've seen those on TV a lot. But I don't think I've ever actually seen like nerdy ties. Not very often, at least. It's incredibly rare. And I haven't seen it very recently. So learning about this new company was really cool. It was like, oh, like if I ever decide I want to start, actually buying some nerdy ties to go with my suits and stuff, I could go to this website and I'll have a tie that kind of represents me as a nerdy person, and it'll also, kind of look pretty good with the suit and everything. So that was really cool. And on the other side of it, it's just cool that they're kind of giving publicity to these different companies and stuff. So that's really nice because this company started up just last year, I believe. And that's kind of cool. Or maybe I think it was 2013. So they've really only been around for, a full year. So I thought that was really cool. Like, I think that's pretty sweet. And it's cool that they're giving publicity to like certain new companies that you may never have heard of, but you might end up falling in love with because, if you're super nerdy, you'll probably go out and try to buy items from them and things like that. And then on the other side, just getting an item that you really like is pretty cool. So it has like, two different things. Like one side is just like, oh, I'm a nerd and I like getting this stuff. But the other side is just like a cool little appreciation thing and like just the nerd world. Like here's a cool nerdy company that you probably didn't know of. So now you can go off and support them and get yourself even more cool nerdy stuff. So I like that. Some of the other things that I've seen over the years that I really wish I could have got, a ton of stuff from Comic-Con I think everyone always wants. Like I've never been to Comic-Con myself, unfortunately, but I used to watch it when it was on G4, and I'll watch like whatever coverage I can find of it now, and there's always something. I mean, every year it's Comic-Con, it's the big thing. Of course, San Diego Comic-Con more than anything, but it's just like that big thing, and there's always going to be some cool exclusive thing that's only sold at Comic-Con. And I remember one year I went to I believe the Midwest Media Expo, which is a new convention in downtown Detroit. And I went to that last year. It was the first one, and it was really cool. I went in, and it wasn't the Midwest Media Expo. It was Youmacon, which is like the big brother to the Midwest Media Expo, and it was the year before last actually. And I went to that, and there was this really, really big Metroplex figurine, and it was Metroplex, for anyone who doesn't know, is a transformer, and he's basically an entire city. He's an entire base is a transformer, and he transforms, and he's just the biggest transformer around, or at least one of them. He's huge, and this thing was like $200 or something, and it was from Comic-Con, and it looked so cool. Like I couldn't see much. It was of course the picture on the box, but the box was just ridiculously gigantic. And I can only imagine how long it would take to actually, like transform something as giant as, a Metroplex. But it looked really cool. It was amazing to see that. I wish I could have bought it if I just had like money shooting out of my fingertips. I would have had it. But it was something I really loved. Like Transformers is one of my favorite things. I've always loved it. And I would love to have a giant Metroplex figure just somewhere like in my house or something like that. If I had my own house, it would be really cool to have that. And of course, I think I've seen this several times, but like an actual life-size lantern from Green Lantern, that would be really cool. Like that would, that there's even less to do with that than, an entire Transformer, but it looks cool. Like it's still really amazing. It's like an officially licensed, DC item, and it's a life-size replica. I believe it was from the actual film, so it looked more like the film version than the typical cartoon version. Or comic book version, I guess I should say. But it was still amazing. Like, I think the one in the movie looked pretty cool. I mean, if you can, as much as you might hate the Green Lantern film, you can at least appreciate that the lantern had a cool, unique design and, a nice glow to it. It looked sweet. So, seeing that was really cool. Every year I go to conventions, there are always, like, a ton of figures that I would like to buy. I never would buy a figure. I've never really been into buying like big figures or even little ones. Really, I've only ever bought two, and those were from Mega Man, and I bought Base and Zero, and that was about it. And I bought Zero from like the ZX game, so it's not the Zero from Mega Man X. It's like the skinnier version of Zero, where he looks a little bit more human than robot. He doesn't have like the big blocky chest and stuff. Is like the sleeker version of him, and I think he looks cooler that way personally, so that's why I got that figure. And Base is like my favorite character from Mega Man, so I got those two because they're like my two favorites and they're really cool to me. But other than that, I've never really been huge on buying like figures at conventions, like whether they're big or small. Like the big ones, of course, I could, those would be like almost $100. And I've seen some cool ones. Like I remember seeing like a Resident Evil 4 figure for Ada Wong, and she had like detachable hands and stuff, and you can have like multiple guns and things like that. And it's really cool. I love those types of things. I love figures that come with a large amount of customization where you can like switch the heads off and you have multiple items and switch the hands, so it's like a closed hand like they're about to fight, or an open hand so you can put a gun in it and things like that. So I always love those. I always think those are really cool. But like I said, almost $100, probably over 100. I believe that was like $120 or something like that, which seemed insane to me. But at the same time, it was a pretty big figure. It was like one of those 8-inch figures, or almost like a foot tall or something like crazy like that. So it was a big figure, and like I said, it had multiple weapons. It had like her handgun, the grapple gun was a separate one, I believe her shotgun and the crossbow, and she had like, I don't know how many different sets of hands. I feel like there are like maybe 3 or 4 sets of hands, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But I guess you have one hand for like holding the shotgun, and then you have to have the other hand turned sideways or something, and it can't look exactly the same as if you have her holding a handgun or something like that. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But things like that, they're really cool, but just a bit too expensive. I'd love to have them. Like I said, money at my fingertips. Sure, I would get it because Resident Evil is my favorite franchise. I love Ada Wong as a character. And you could just have this cool model figure. Considering how nerdy I am, even if I bought it, I'd probably never open it, because I'd be like, I'd love to mess around with it, but I'd probably just leave it in the packaging like an uber nerd. But it would still be cool to have it. And then, kind of like I mentioned with the little figures, also at conventions, if you've been to a convention, pretty much everything is just spiked up. So pretty much any figure you can buy at a convention is way too pricey anyway. Some of the bigger ones are probably in their normal price range, but like the little figures, where it's like $10 for like those super tiny figures and stuff, and then you get to one that's maybe 3 inches tall, and it's like, this is like $25. Stuff like that is like way too expensive to me. I don't think they look amazing, like especially, like I love the Dragon Ball Z ones, because Dragon Ball Z is one of those anime that it's always something happening on the characters themselves. It's not just like, oh, here's a cool explosion that you watch, or the fights are cool. You can make figures out of just Dragon Ball Z characters and, just have someone going Super Saiyan, and it looks awesome because they have like that sort of energy wave around them and stuff. And you have that on the base of the figure, like flowing around the character. And then you have the character themselves and stuff. So I've always loved those. There have always been ones with like really, really great detail, like those little figures. I feel like the Dragon Ball Z ones are some of the best ones because they have so much figures and so much insane detail. And also, I think it's just a simple fact that the show's been popular for so long. It's had such an amazing amount of time for people to kind of come into the companies, whoever makes the figures and stuff, and they have lots and lots of time to kind of build up. So you say you have like a set team of people who've been doing this for years. They of course only get better over time, so they're like, okay, we have a lot of detail in this figure that we made last year, let's try to up the ante on that. So we mastered that, so now we can do that and then add even more detail. So they always look unbelievably amazing. Like the wrinkles and the clothes and stuff and these tiny little figures always appeals to me. Like those are always the ones I look at the most. Like I know I'm never gonna buy one, but the Dragon Ball Z ones are always the ones where it's like, I love just staring at them and like, getting footage of them or pictures, because they just look incredible. Like the detail is unbelievable. And even if I had a ton of money, I might buy like a Dragon Ball Z one or something, but I wouldn't buy anything, too insane. Like I wouldn't buy a bunch of little figures from a bunch of anime or anything like that. But I'd probably get like a little DBZ one or something like that. And maybe if I did have a bunch of extra money, I'd probably get one of the taller figures too, because even those have a ton of intricate details, and you can, of course, see them even better because they're bigger figures. But I've always loved those. Like I said, figures in general, typically at conventions, are normally like overpriced. Like anything you will buy at a convention, it's probably going to cost you way more than you'd actually pay if you just kind of went on eBay or went online. But it's sort of that convenience thing when you go to a convention, and it's a little bit simpler. You can just, here's my money, and then you got the item and you just head off. But I've always seen tons of items. I remember one year at Comic-Con, they did like an exclusive Green Lantern thing where I believe it was like all the different colors. And this was years ago, so I think it was only when there were like 5 colors at the time. But it was really cool. Like it was like each day had a specific color or like a specific couple of colors, and you could only get them there, at the convention. And like you get a figure, and whatever color you get that actual ring to wear. And I just thought that was really cool, mostly because I love the Black Lantern ring because I like the color black. But that was kind of why I wanted it the most. It was like, it would be cool to have like a Black Lantern ring. But it was really sweet. It was like each day, you get like an exclusive color comes out for each day that the convention is going on. And that was really sweet. I thought that was really cool. And, at the same time, it was like, man, that sucks. I'll never be able to get that. But it's cool, like, just seeing these exclusive items come out of conventions or, particularly Comic-Con, and all sorts of other randomly nerdy things, whether it's on the website, custom-made websites and things like that. It's always really entertaining, and seeing, like, these new companies sprout up and stuff like that where it's like, nerdy attire is probably one of the biggest things next to, I would say, figures. Is probably just attire in general, because attire is very easy, because you can easily make a shirt and sell that for $20, and, you'll easily get someone to pay like $20 for a t-shirt. And, that type of stuff, you have $20 for t-shirts, and then you have like all sorts of underwear and socks and pants. I feel like pants mostly come out for girls as leggings. I've never actually seen like nerdy pants for guys, I don't think, that weren't like actual jeans or that weren't just pajamas or something like that. So I don't think I've seen that too often. I'm sure they're out there, because I wouldn't doubt that just doesn't exist. Just typically whenever you see like something nerdy shown off for clothing, if it's not just a flat out t-shirt, it's typically for a girl, because I don't know why, that's just how it is. It's like it always seems to be leggings, and you never just see like, here's jeans and with like a simple print. It doesn't have to be like the whole thing is just like, little bats on it or something for Batman, but some sort of cool, jeans inspired by comics or anime or something like that. It's typically just like, guys get watches, shirts, and wallets, and then girls get like watches, shirts, and wallets, and everything else under the rainbow. So that kind of sucks in some regards, but that's just how things are, unfortunately. But it's always cool to see nerdy items come out, no matter what it is. It's always better when it's something you want, of course. Like, that's always the best to have. But it's always really cool, and I always love going to conventions. If you couldn't guess, I go to anime conventions. If not, Comic-Con, it's anime. So, going to the conventions and finding all the different items. And in some cases, conventions tend to kind of blend with pop culture, and it's not just anime anymore. So that happens a lot now anyway, where most conventions, it really does kind of blend together unless they keep it like really, really strict. And it's like, it has to be straight up anime and stuff like that. In most cases, that doesn't tend to happen, I don't think. So you'll get a huge blend of stuff where it'll be a lot of anime things, but you also get a ton of comic book stuff as well. So they're always out there, and of course the video game figures and things like that. But like I said, like getting just random nerd items and nerd swag and stuff like that, free nerd stuff, like when you go to conventions, I think it happens mostly at Comic-Con once again, when you get actual free items. That's always the coolest, and you kind of get that feeling with Lootcrate, especially because as much as you pay for Lootcrate, the stuff that's in there is worth like $40 or $50 altogether. So you are definitely getting your money's worth. Like, you're getting way more than your money's worth, probably twice as much. So it's definitely really cool to have that experience, because it kind of feels like you're getting free stuff. Because really, like I said, with the t-shirt that I got for the January thing, that could easily sell for $20. If it was like, if it was Hot Topic, which they have like all the nerdy stuff, that's kind of where you can go to just buy like a nerdy shirt for a game or a movie or something like that. Those things are like $20. The Voltron shirt that came with Lootcrate would easily be $20, and that alone is more than what it actually costs per month. So it's really cool to get that experience because, like I said, once you get like a specific item, you can instantly look at it and say, this alone is worth what I'm paying, per month. And then you still have like 5 other items in the crate. And it's really cool to have that. Like, it kind of feels like you're just getting free stuff at a certain point because you get that really big item. And then it's like, well, here's all this other extra stuff too. So that always feels, really cool when that happens. But, other nerd items at conventions and, you know, other random things, like whether it's on a website or, who knows what random weird nerd giveaways you could possibly come across, those are always really cool. I love those things. Exclusive stuff, of course, is always great. It's always, at the same time, really difficult. Like, I love, Back to the Future. And one of the biggest things for Back to the Future that happened recently was the fact that they came out with those Nikes from Back to the Future Part 2. And those things were expensive. I don't know if they cost the same as regular shoes, which already cost a ton of money. As far as I'm concerned, shoes cost a buttload of money to me. They cost like as much as new video games, which I think is insane. But, the same could probably be said about video games as well, I guess. But, I seeing it differently, of course. I think it's like way too much for shoes because I just don't care about shoes. But those I thought were really great, and I would have loved to have had those, and they only came out in a limited quantity. And if you want them now, you can find them on eBay. And I mentioned this before. They cost a ton of money. Those things are over $1,000 on eBay, and it's just crazy. But I would love to have that because that's really cool. And it's like, I love Back to the Future. Of course I want these shoes. And they actually light up and stuff, which is pretty sweet. But they cost a ton of money. So that's, there's really no way that's going to happen. But it's really cool. And then, that's kind of the downside to rare items, of course, is that they're rare. So if you want one, it's going to be, one, is going to be harder to find it in general. And two, once you find it, it'll probably just hurt your feelings because you'll find out that it costs, far beyond what you can actually spend. So that does suck. But nerd stuff in general is always really great. And, I can't wait to see what I get in this next Loot Crate. I'm really excited for it. I don't know what the theme is. They haven't announced it yet. Or if they have, I haven't seen it yet. But I'm definitely excited for more Loot Crates. If you, like I said, if you haven't gotten Loot Crate yet, I would definitely advise checking it out. Like I said, I'm going to put a link in the description below, or I guess technically if you're watching this, it's already in the link below. And you can check out my unboxing video and see what you think. There are, of course, billions of others on YouTube. There are a ton of people that do that, so you can check those out. And, I only have the one because, of course, I just got it. But check out other unboxing videos from last year and stuff like that. Check out some of the Mega Crate videos, maybe, or maybe not. It might make you a little angry because it would be so rare to actually win that Loot Crate or win the Mega Crate. So kind of determine on your own if you really want to see some of the cool stuff in the Mega Crates, because you might not actually get it. So be a little careful on that because you might just get nerd envy. But thanks for listening. If you have any random nerd items, this is, I guess, will kind of be similar to the last podcast where I said put the ones you really want down below. But, if there are some that you really want, or some that if you listen to the last podcast and there's maybe something brand new or something you hadn't heard of yet, definitely put those down in the comment section below. If you have Loot Crate, tell me what you think of it. Because like I said, I really enjoy it. I'm excited for this year. I really cannot wait. I think they might do it maybe in October, maybe not, because October is, Halloween, so they'll probably do a Halloween theme. So they'll probably do like Back to the Future in September to celebrate that, which the actual month in the second movie is October and stuff. But, that's the one I'm really waiting for. Like, it's 2015. They can't not do a Back to the Future theme Loot Crate, so I'm really waiting for that one. But like I said, if you have Loot Crate, talk about your experiences down in the comment section below. If you have other random nerdy items that you've seen, like you like figures but you think they're too expensive, and all of the stuff that you think about exclusive items and the ups and downs of exclusive items, or just wanting nerdy stuff in general, please put that down in the comment section below. Of course, if you guys have any topics you want me to talk about, nerdy or not, put those down in the comment section below as well. And of course, thanks for listening.